Hey everybody, welcome to Hope Something Sticks. I'm Bert.
I'm Matt.
So today we're gonna go more into politics, but we're gonna focus in on kind of what's been happening with the New York Post article that came out. Apparently has Hunter Biden's hard drive information on it. Someone, the repair guy that he allegedly brought it to, Hunter Biden didn't come back to pick up the computer for some reason. The guy contacted someone that he knew. That guy contacted the FBI. The FBI took the laptop, but before they did, the computer repair guy copied all the contents of the hard drive, gave it to Rudy Giuliani, and then he gave it to the New York Post. So we're discussing that, a few other things, but also kind of what happened with the New York Post article with, Twitter and Facebook kind of not displaying it like how they usually would. They kind of turned it down, the story, and the reaction to it. And so
they actually censored it.
So they didn't censor it. What they did was they made it so less people would see it.
So, they threw it further down the feed or something.
Yeah, like it wasn't like it was not as prominently displayed as a article like that would usually be.
It seems kind of fucked up. I mean, it is fucked up. This isn't made up shit. A dude, came across materials. Well, he didn't come across it. It was in his shop. He had every right to look at it because it was basically unclaimed goods. I don't know if they go into great detail as to whether or not that dude, the computer repair shop guy in person, actually contacted, or how strenuously he tried contacting the Bidens, or let's just say Hunter Biden because it's his fucking laptop. But if it's unclaimed material, shit, just look at it.
Yeah.
See if we got something juicy on here. There's got to be some sex pics on here, and it didn't disappoint. I hear there's a 12-minute video of Hunter Biden smoking crack and having sex. The New York Post, even the New York Post refused to show it. That video is going to get some traction. That was the October surprise, everybody. Hey, here it is. Hunter Biden's dong.
Just what I always wanted. So yeah, I if the story is as it's written, I mean, I don't blame the guy for doing what he did. But there's some meta information kind of surrounding the story,
of course,
that I thought it was interesting. So first, how the story came to be. So I think people should kind of see this for what it is. So
absolutely, weave them a web.
This guy who downloaded the information and gave it to Giuliani, it doesn't seem like he was the one who contacted the New York Post at all. Like, I think the New York Post contacted him about the story. He said he wanted to be anonymous, and he's like, well, guess that didn't happen. So it was all Rudy Giuliani. I don't know why I can't say his name. Rudy Giuliani's idea, and it was his idea.
He's the devil.
To have. He's not doing so great right now. It was his idea to have the story come out at this time, like 3 weeks before the election. So, and then another piece of information that was not in any of the articles that I read and which seemed like a pretty important bit of information Giuliani would have definitely known. When did he get that information? When did he get the hard drive contents?
Mm.
Because it would seem like it would be around the same time as the FBI got it, which would be December of 2019, which means he sat on it for almost a year. I mean, if he got it just like a month or so ago, it's like, okay, I can understand why things happened the way they did, but if...
Well, let's remember we have 11,000 emails that we have to go through. That's roughly what was on
that's
that,
true,
on that
but
hard drive.
the repair guy said that he found some of those emails.
Oh, did he?
Just search like Burisma or whatever.
He knew exactly what he was looking for.
Yeah.
He saw one dick pic and he said, "I know that penis. What are you up to over there? Show me your emails."
Mm-hmm.
And he did, and all he found was a heartwarming story about a man struggling with addiction.
Yep.
Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. And also an entire nation under attack from another much larger, well-equipped nation. Oh, poor Ukraine. All they wanted to do was sell some gas to some people, you know?
Mm. So yeah. So if Giuliani had it for all this time, then he knew there was really nothing on it that was particularly incriminating. So he just blasted it out there just a little bit before the election, before people can take time to see, okay, and process, okay, this isn't really anything. The only bit of information that's interesting is that Biden apparently met with one of those Ukrainian guys from Burisma.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Lev Parnas. Jail! And the other guy with the name that won't quit. I'm pretty sure they're both in jail.
I mean, those weren't the guys that he saw. I saw some other guy. I don't know.
Oh.
But and that's it. He he got to talk with Joe Biden for a few minutes. Like, I think it was like at a public event too, or not a public event, but an event with people around. So
networking. It's all about who you know.
Yep. Yeah, the only other thing was, he was doing some work with these Chinese companies, and he was getting paid like $10 million to just introduce people, which, all right.
And also work with, he was working with some shady characters. He was working with,
definitely.
The CEFC, Chinese, again, I don't even remember. It's like some sort of energy conglomerate. It's not even a thing anymore, because one of the main people who was dealing with it ended up getting, he served a 3-year prison sentence. And I think he's also, oh man, I'm getting them all mixed up now, but, so he served a 3-year prison sentence. Another one of the guys that he used to work with disappeared, Chinese style. You can imagine, you can find his organs on the black market right now.
Yeah, his body in the body exhibit. So
when the Chinese deal with corruption, they more like dish it out.
Mm-hmm.
They're serving. They're chopping them up and serving it to the poor. That's what they're doing. So yeah, he was dealing with some dirty people, and the fact that he was dealing with some dirty people, that's the juicy nugget of this whole thing. But even so, where does the connection go from Biden to Biden? From Hunter to Joe? It doesn't really jump.
Established, yeah.
That establishment is not there. That connection isn't there.
And there's even a couple of emails of Hunter Biden telling, his business partners, hey, there's really so much I can do as far as my dad. Like, he's going to do what he's going to do. I have no control over it.
Mm-hmm. Quote unquote, temper our expectations here.
Yeah. So
$50,000, please.
yeah, so yeah, they've got Hunter Biden saying, "Hey, is my dad's not gonna do anything just because I work for you."
Hmm.
So yeah, and one other thing, actually, I saw this today on the New York Post, just kind of seeing if there was anything new. Um, they put out text messages between Hunter and Joe Biden, and they're really touching, especially as far as Joe Biden goes. What he was talking, like Hunter Biden was like in rehab at this point, I guess, and people are saying that he's a fucking disappointment. If anyone's gonna screw over his dad's, chance of becoming president, it's him. That kind of stuff. Like you're the black sheep, and Joe Biden's like, hey, everything's okay. You're not you're not a colossal fuck up. I love you. You have three wonderful daughters that you raised up great. Just trying to build them up.
Hmm.
And I mean, it just shows that Joe Biden's as sincere as he makes himself out to be. So
Yeah, and one of those text messages, not related to uh, between Hunter and his father, but between Hunter and his daughter, gives away exactly how much money this dude actually has. His daughter asked for $125 because she couldn't afford a lift. I don't know why she needed $125 for a lift, but whatever. A lift and some booze.
some serious surge time, I guess. She
Yeah,
like
right.
was
Something
she
like
like
that.
I don't know, leaving I
She's
don't
getting
know,
to. She's going to the
stadium
airport.
from a Giants game or something.
Yeah, I
I
guess.
mean,
What? She had to beat the traffic from like 15 people. Anyway,
yeah,
but he goes on to say, "Hey, yeah, no problem, but you can't keep if you keep expecting to run to the well like you're the daughter of a billionaire or something like that, you're going to be sorely disappointed."
hmm,
Like this is a dude with he's got garbage in his car, man. He's got garbage in
yeah,
the car. Like, did you
yeah.
see the
There's
picture on the front page? The first picture they show is the sad puppy dog picture, and he's got garbage in the car.
yeah.
That's not a scumbag. That's just a dude just trying to get by with fifty
Well,
thousand dollars a month.
uh, cocaine can get expensive.
Clearly, yeah. So what's the other awesome
So
connection? It was isn't the big jump? The big jump is the investigator who got fired, the Ukrainian investigator. So Biden shakes the hand of somebody from Burisma, and then
yeah,
months later, someone is fired for
hmm,
investigating Burisma, also a notoriously corrupt company. And that
yeah. I
somebody
mean,
is Victor Don't Shake Me Shokin, who is slow walking the entire investigation against Burisma that he was already in charge of. He's been trying to do it, trying. He's been in charge of the investigation already for months. He ultimately got fired after 14 months. After Joe, pretty much, and that's the great line in the whole thing that everyone is losing their minds over because they had $1 billion on the line, $1 billion fun bucks, and Joe says, "I'm on a plane in 6 hours. If this guy's not gone, then you're not getting the money." Like Joe has the authority to stop the money from going, but they took it, they bought it, you know, not from just Joe, but also from the European Union, the International Monetary Fund, just about everybody, probably Shokin's mother. Everybody knew this guy wasn't doing his job. And he was just like, no, 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 I'll do it. I'll get to it. Yeah, no problem. We're doing it. Look, see?
hmm,
Eh,
yeah. Even the Republicans were completely down with it. So yep, this guy's got to go.
well,
So
which Republican? Did anybody actually go on like, who agreed? I'm looking at.
I mean, I think it's just like kind of blanket agreements. Yeah, I just heard that from like from the news like months back, so I don't have a source for that. But no one was complaining about it. That's for sure.
Let's see here. I know the Wall Street Journal did a lot of reporting on this, as well as the Irish Times, apparently. Well, apparently, a lot of people in Shokin's office were also being investigated themselves. So, let's see here. Hmm. Yeah, let's see here. I've got a Washington Post story from February of this year saying the Ukraine court forces probe into Biden role in firing of prosecutor Viktor Shokin. So it makes you wonder, seeing as how that's 2 months after the big man in charge, the head cheese, got impeached for, basically doing the same kind of transactional politics, except much more blatant and actually, person to person, president to president. Look into this
Yeah.
guy. Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, also Joe Biden didn't hide what he was doing. Like it was like front and center. Everybody knew about it. He told people about it.
Yeah, he bragged about it.
With Trump's conversation, the transcript was like beyond classified. It was like code word classified.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, they tried hiding it. They needed a whistleblower to say anything about it.
So
I would like to see a monument that enshrines every senator's name who had a chance of removing this man and convicting him. They all deserve to be remembered forever. They had a chance to get rid of him. Now we've got to deal with an election that he is openly attacking.
Yeah. No, that's nothing new. So, all right. So, moving on from the actual story, then what became the story after that? Because this isn't really a story. Okay, you got Hunter Biden's information, and it tells you next to nothing. Was Twitter and Facebook's reaction to this story? So, I believe the story came out early morning. I want to say it was in the middle of the week. It was either Tuesday
it was like
or
Wednesday.
Maybe it was Thursday. It might have been early Thursday. I think it was early on the 15th. And both Twitter and Facebook they didn't like bury it, they didn't ban it or anything, but they did kind of throttle it. So it appeared in people's feed less prominently or less so than it would have just normally. Now, Twitter's explanation for that is that they have a strict policy on putting up information that was hacked, and the story was we have Hunter Biden's emails. They said that they got it legitimately. The Hunter Biden come back for his laptop. The guy made a copy and then sent it to Giuliani, who then sent it to the New York Post. Okay, there's nothing illegal there. But you could make the argument they didn't know that right when it was posted up. So yeah, I could see the argument against them doing that. I can kind of see it for it too. 2020 hindsight, they should have just let it go.
Yeah, they really should have.
Yeah,
they made it a much bigger story by censoring it.
Yep.
They should have just and it wasn't hearsay. It wasn't rumor. They had evidence. This is the New York Post we're talking about, which is a notorious tabloid that cares more about what the pictures are. And let me tell you, there's some good ones in there.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever have, 6 minutes to yourself in between your doom scrolling, I strongly suggest just take a look through Hunter Biden's emails, or really just through his pictures. Just see an everyday guy making $50,000 a month, just getting by. And
That's what it looks like.
also, you'll see some awesome, some great pictures that can only be described as, I don't know, Saturday Night Fever meets Sex Safari meets 1980s dad bod. Cocaine is a health habit. I need my minerals. Some good pictures in there. I
Yeah.
completely lost my train of thought. Hunter?
Well,
Oh yeah, we were talking about Twitter. Looks like Jack Dorsey's going to get subpoenaed.
well, he did get subpoenaed. I think
Uh-huh.
they're ordering him to shave his beard.
Ah, he's got to give up the dream. Can't force a man to do that.
It doesn't look good
Fight
on.
him, Jackie. He's got to give up his
But
beard, then Ted Cruz has to give up his.
Cruz
Or
doesn't look as
actually
bad. Like at least
grow
he
it out
like
long.
manicures it
It
better.
has to go exactly the same distance down as Jack Dorsey's goes up. I could get down with that. New age of novel justice. It's on its way.
Mhm. All right, but then another thing came up from the Republican side. Saying that this is censorship.
Hmm.
Uh, it's bullshit. That shows favoritism, and even calls for government regulation of what can and can't be censored.
Hmm. Yep. Always
This
comes
one
back
dude
to Section
on
230.
Fox, Turley, said that the event was perfectly Orwellian, referencing George Orwell.
Right, yeah.
So, what I have to say to that is, yeah, they shouldn't have did what they did, but government oversight is definitely not the answer because if you so Twitter is called social media. One of those words is media. It's a media platform. But instead of paying people to put up content that are quote unquote trustworthy or whatever, maybe not, anyone can put up content on Twitter. Like literally anybody. They don't pay them, but they put stuff up on there. And some of these are publications, some of these are people. So if basically you can legislate what goes up and doesn't go up on Twitter, then you effectively control that media, which that would be Orwellian, be able to control the media because as it goes, what's called the fourth estate, the news media,
Right.
is kind of the check on all three, forms, branches of government: the executive,
Hey, that's
legislative,
us.
and judicial. But
That's us.
yep, kind, sort of. But yeah, so that's something to be worried about. Is people within the government saying that they should decide what's on Twitter, what's not on Twitter. Because if the same was said on like any the news channels or newspapers, people would be up in arms about it. But since it's social media, people don't view it the same way. Even though a lot of people, for better or for worse, kind of rely on Twitter for news. But that I think is the scariest part of this whole deal. The entire all these stories. The emails, the Twitter and Facebook kind of pulling back on those stories that the New York Post put up. This I think is the scariest part of saying we should decide whether or not Twitter censors stuff.
Yeah. And if you are a constituent of any of the senators who are backing the Earn It Act, for example, which is the best known legislation targeting Section 230, then you need to contact those senators immediately, especially if you're in South Carolina. Carolina Holler. What up?
Mhm.
Because
So
Section
yeah,
230
I
is what
mean,
we're talking about.
yeah,
The
because I mean, in a way, it's bullshit. Could say like, when did CNN come out with the information of the original story? Like hours later. It's like, were they censoring anything? No, they just decided not to put anything out there for a while. But with Twitter, they can't 100% control what goes on their platform at any one time. So if they want something not on their platform, then they have to they take it off. It's not like they can't. It's you know there's no review process to put it on there. There's a review process after you put it on.
I'm just reading about trying to find
And
out
then
when the actual hearing is. When is the hearing?
I don't know, and then also you know these businesses are businesses. It's ultimately up to them what content they want on their platform. There's no obligation for them to be fair. Should they be? Sure, everyone should be fair, but there's no obligation for them to be fair. If they lean left, then they lean left. You know, People should be looking at multiple news sources. Not just Twitter. I get my news you know from the Washington Post, CNN, Fox, and the Jerusalem Post. Actually, it was the Jerusalem Post that I first saw the story about Hunter
Hmm.
Biden.
I usually hear a name and then I try to go to Wikipedia and then I try to see if there's any actual citations on the page currently.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just start digging in that way. Most of the time, I'm just trying to figure out what the hell everybody's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Section 230 this, Earn It Act that, Lindsey Graham's fucking face. Let's
But
see.
but as far as the politics of it go, it's all bullshit. Because if it was the other way around and Twitter was more right leaning and they, you know, pulled back on a story that would help Donald Trump or that would help Joe Biden and they pulled back on that, you wouldn't hear anything from Republicans and all the Democrats would be saying, "Oh, we have to rein in these guys."
Fair enough. Yeah, that's why these laws are bullshit. Because the second
Yeah.
one is passed by one side, it's just going to be used by the other side when they get into power. So once again, if you live in a swing state, you don't have a choice. But if you don't live in a swing state, you do have a choice. You need to vote. Ugh, third party. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Got a bad
I
taste in my.
mean,
I got a bad taste
I
in my
don't
mouth
even
now.
I don't even know who the libertarian candidate is.
Joe Jorgensen. That's
Whatever.
Joe
it,
J O Joe.
I I think that doesn't matter what party a person's in, even like a third party. You end up just being an asshole once you get power.
It's not that a third party candidate is going to win. You should dissuade yourself from that fantasy right now. It's that a third party candidate is just like the Bernie Sanders campaign. It's or even the Trump campaign. It's just about influencing the conversation. And if enough people vote third party, then we change where those major parties go. They have to be forced to listen to something else other than what they drill down to everyone else.
You would have to have a huge showing from the third party for them to give a
It doesn't
shit.
even have
But
to be that big of a showing. It could be a 3 percentage points would be huge.
No, because third party candidates have gotten that much before,
Right, and they've
and
changed things. Bernie Sanders is his campaign has influenced the Biden campaign's views on healthcare. Even AOC's campaign, which wasn't for a president, but just the fact that she exists and was a major force for the Green New Deal, has influenced his climate uh, stance. Not very well with his fucking insistence on not banning fracking, but still,
well, not yet anyway.
it's all a
But
negotiation.
I mean, you have to get Pennsylvania, and it at this point it's get better
Good luck.
than what you're. Yeah, but um, but what I have to say to that is Ocasio Cortez. Did I say it right that time? I know I fucked it up last time.
I believe that is correct. Ocasio
Ocasio,
Cortez.
right? So she is in the Democrat. She's in the Democratic Party, and Bernie Sanders basically ran as a Democrat. He's an independent, but he ran in the Democratic caucus, and that's why he did so well. If he ran as an independent, you probably wouldn't even know who the fuck he is today.
Maybe.
So
Granted,
these
his
people with different ideas going into the established parties and then shaking things up affect things a lot more than just being in a third party, getting just a little bit of the vote, and then disappearing off the face of the earth.
he should have split
It's,
off.
what?
He should have split off. The fact that he was even
He
running for the Democratic ticket, I wasn't crazy about. Didn't make any sense to me.
you wouldn't have known who he was if he wasn't on the Democratic ticket. From like in the 2016 election, and
I
now.
resent that I don't look up as many candidates as possible. Most people, yeah, true. But most people didn't even know that he was running for the Democratic side. Look at his press conference for when he announced his presidency. There were like three people there.
Yeah. Well, it was picked up by the Daily Show, so people found out about it that way. That's how I found out about it. Like Jon Stewart, gave him his time. It showed clips of him announcing for president,
Hmm.
mostly because he
So
just
there
had
you go.
crazy fucking hair.
So there you go. That's what did it. People are starved for an independent candidate who isn't insane or a joke.
It's the our system of government isn't set up for them to succeed in any capacity.
And in some cases, it's actually set up to kind of screw them over.
Yeah. So unless I think just things change in general with how the government is run, it's the two party system. It basically always has been. The parties have changed, and the only time you had more than two parties that were worth anything was in a time of transition of one party dying and another party being born.
Yeah, and we are currently witnessing one party definitely dying. It is having an existential crisis right now. It's going through some shit, and eventually it's going to come out the other side not how everyone expects it to be. Because what a Republican is now is I don't even really know. Apparently, it's like what's his face, Mac the Knife, John McCain's campaign chairman or campaign manager back in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
He said this party needs to be burned to the ground, and he said it several years ago. He said we need to start over, and he's absolutely right. Bull moose,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. Well, we'll see. Depending on if Biden wins, and B, how how much he wins by, and how what happens with the Senate. We'll see how fast that goes, of the Republican Party basically burning down and rebuilding itself.
It's already happening. Look at in Nebraska, Ben Sass, the senator in Nebraska. He couldn't take it anymore. He went on like an 8-minute tirade, or what's been described as a tirade. He just went on an 8-minute bash session. So 8 minutes from a Republican senator bashing a Republican president, a sitting Republican president. The dam is cracking.
Yeah, but is it going to break, or are they going to put spackle on it? That's kind of what this election is.
You're going to put spackle on a wet wall? You expect that to hold?
For 4 years.
Metaphor's getting a little, soggy.
Anyway.
I don't buy it.
So, yeah, but that's where we are. Now, kind of moving on to other news. Was it 2 days ago? Was that also Thursday? Or maybe Friday? No, I think it was Thursday.
I have lost all track of time.
The dueling town halls of the president and Joe Biden.
Yeah, sure. The dueling nothings. Whatever.
Yeah. But one thing that was kind of funny, again, was they got the ratings for both, and Joe Biden had 700,000 more people watching him than Donald Trump's thing.
Oh, that's heartening.
Yeah.
But how many people were watching Donald Trump's?
A lot, but I think it was like in the teen millions for both of them.
Damn.
I think it was like between 13 to 15 million or something like that. But comparatively, it's not a huge number. But Joe Biden did beat him in the ratings, and the Democratic National Convention also beat the Republican National Convention in the ratings as well. So, just seeing little tidbits. There's a few more. One thing that's really good as far as the Democrats are concerned is the amount of early voting going on. Like a lot of early voting.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one state, might have been Pennsylvania, I'm not sure. They said they got, in the first day of early voting, they had a fifth of the total amount of votes of the 2016 election, that they already got that from the first day. It wasn't the first day that people were coming out. They, as far as I know, they've been coming out in really large numbers the entire time. Now, one thing that would be really good for potentially would be Georgia. It's hard to suppress the vote if people just keep coming for 3 weeks. If people just stick to it, like I know it takes forever to vote in a lot of those places.
John Oliver.
But hey, if you're registered, you got your ID, and you got the time, your vote's going to get counted.
Yeah, and as an election judge, I can confirm that. If you are in line, stay in line.
Maybe they can screw you over for a day, maybe 2, but if you don't stop, within these few weeks, they can't stop you from voting. And if people just really focus in on just, I got to go vote, no matter what, no matter how they try to stop me, just keep pushing until you actually get that vote in. You could actually flip Georgia. I called Georgia for the Republicans because, they're going to suppress the vote. But if people just keep voting like they have been, then yeah.
possible.
It's possible.
Anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, anything is possible.
Yeah, there's a new pencil. Actually, no, it wasn't a Pennsylvania. It was a national poll that came out a couple days ago. I believe it was a NBC and Wall Street Journal poll, and had Biden up by 11 points, which is the aggregate of the rest of the polls.
Mm.
And I know you were talking about, polling from liberal places. Wall Street Journal is not liberal.
No, it is not.
So, yeah.
But who are they asking? What's their the error? Is it plus or minus 12? And where's the early voting happening? I mean, I know it's happening. We're talking Georgia, and the lines are insane. Did you see the thing on John Oliver last week tonight? 8 hours. Some dude sat in line. 8 hours.
Yeah, I heard like 10 to 11 hours.
Dude.
That's the thing. Like, hey,
it's all day.
Get on them. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
Day after day after day. If you can have victory over Trump before election day, I mean.
Yeah, that's the hope and the dream. But not every state has early voting.
Almost all of them do. There's only, I think, I saw there's only 5, and none of them are swing states. I think it's 5, but I know, I read all of them. None of them are swing states. Like, it's like Missouri, Kentucky, others, Connecticut,
and others.
None of them were swing states. So all the swing states have early voting.
I know that Pennsylvania's having problems. Their mail-in ballot issues. I sent you that story.
Yeah, that's
from ProPublica.
Really a problem.
It is if you gotta do that shit. They're gonna get overworked, man.
Yeah, I mean they're getting overworked because people are calling and freaking out, which that's fair. But so what's happening is 90. A few 100,000 requests for mail-in ballot were denied, but 90% of them were because they were already requested, and so those 90% are going to get a mail-in ballot. They just got that rejection because they asked for it twice, which was dumb for them to send out the rejection. You said, you could just send back, yes, you're getting a mail-in ballot. You don't have to say, you requested it once, you're gonna get it. Oh, by the way, here's a rejection for requesting it again.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah.
Why? Why did you do that?
Phrasing was very, very stupid. And now they're going to be paying for it. 307. It's just the numbers. It's all about the numbers. People look at those numbers and then they lose confidence. 372,000 rejected ballots as of when that story was published on, I think, Friday. Yikes. Just 1 in 5. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but again, 90%.
And of course, there's some dipshit who keeps fucking trying to do it 11 times. 11 times somebody tried. What is your problem?
All right, the margin of error for that NBC and Wall Street Journal one is 3.1%. The margin of error.
Not quite a supermajority, is it?
It doesn't need to be. I mean,
no, it doesn't. It would be nice to have.
So that's still 8 points. Worst case scenario. If you're up 8 points, there's like a 90-something% chance you're gonna win.
And how many people were in that?
Let's see.
Ugh, fact checks.
Fucking bullshit.
40% increase, 16 to 2020 in early voting for Georgia. 128,590 votes cast.
1,000 registered voters.
I guess that's a lot.
Conducted on between October 9th and October 12th.
Did I say 128,590? Because that was only the number of people who had voted early on Monday. As of noon on Thursday, 447,704 people voted early in Georgia. Bazinga. Well, I'm motivated. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. I already got my vote in, but whatever.
Yeah, me too.
Chicago's on top of it, and their messages. I mean, they're giving messages out. They're telling people stuff about like, oh, these you're going to be receiving some mailers. Don't worry about them. We have to send those out by law. If you already voted, don't just disregard it. They're doing the most important thing in any war, and this is a war, and it's communication. It's a classic revolutionary's dilemma. What's the first thing you're supposed to focus on? Lines of communication, establishing them, trusting them, and understanding that that's the most important thing to protect. After that, they can't beat you.
So, because the only other information I had was, because there's so many mail-in ballots, there's worries that, pretty well-founded worries, that we're not going to know who's president by the end of election night.
We won't.
Like we usually do. Well, we might have a good idea. So Pennsylvania is going to take forever, but Ohio, Florida, and Arizona, they can open their ballots earlier than the other ones. Like Pennsylvania, they can't open their mail-in ballots until the day of the election. So Florida, Arizona, and Ohio will have their mail-in ballots counted, at least most of them. And you'll have a better idea who's going to win in those ones. And if you know who's winning in Ohio, Florida, and Arizona, then you have a pretty decent idea who's going to win the whole thing, especially Florida. I mean, if Biden wins Florida, then you can go to sleep pretty safe that Biden's going to win the presidency. If Trump wins it, then you kind of have to see.
We shall see.
But yeah, if Biden wins Arizona and Florida, then it's done. It's like 95% done.
We're just gonna have to see, man.
Yep.
I'm not so sure.
We shall see.
Because can't underestimate people not trusting the system working, because that's how the Russians really got us. Their technological capability is not nearly what ours is, but it doesn't have to be. Just the mere glimmer, just one or two, in this entire country, all they got to do is hit one or two places, and the media is going to run with it, and it might just totally fuck shit up. So Biden can't just win by 8 points. He's got to fucking smash him into the ground and make it so that no matter what the story comes out, no matter what these dickheads try to do, it's irrefutable. Which also, in a weird, macabre kind of way, might also backfire. It's like, oh, well, nobody can win by that much. So he's got to hit that sweet spot, He can't go Lukashenko on everybody and win by 90%.
He has to win by 20 to 25%.
I think that's a little bit much. It needs to be a solid, I think 10. I think 10 is the magic number. If he's got 60 and change % of the vote, that's perfect. So show me, I'd like to see a nice 69.42% of the vote in favor of Biden.
Let's see.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, says he's up by 11 points. Apparently, at worst, he's up by 8 points.
It's very close.
Or as much as 14 points. So yeah, that'll be it for us on this episode. Again, you can write in at hopesomething@gmail.com. Once we actually get some emails, we'll read them out during the episode. And yeah, so that's it, and we'll talk to you guys later.
You know it. Go vote, meatbags. Come on.
Go vote.